So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Assalamu alaikum. Today we have another special guest in her own way. She is an amazing lady. She never fails to amaze me, inspire me. She is somebody who defies her who defines her own ground. She defines her own definition of success. She's a psychologist, psychometrician. She's an entrepreneur. She is a columnist of Workplace Sanity. She's a beautiful woman, mother of 2 children, and above all, she's the uncrowned queen of when it comes to consulting, training, entrepreneurship, and penetrating into different markets. She defines her own success, strength, and she is the founder, CEO of Narejo Consulting. She's Rahila Narejo. Thank you so much, Rahila, for joining us. How are you?
I am very well. Thank you so much. I'm going to make a correction. Mother of 3 dragons.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. 3 dragons. Yeah, you just mentioned your daughter also. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. So Rahila, how are you?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Honor is mine. You are a true example of a woman supporting another woman. And I'm so glad and honored to have you here. One thing which I have always wanted to ask you, I know I've been following you for quite some time, and you have an inspiring, amazing story. So you are basically a warrior, a fighter, in my opinion. And I wanted to ask you, Rahila, who exactly are you? Who is Rahila?
Well, that's such a deep question. So we start right out of the gate, huh, with the tough questions.
Okay, what's easy?
What is the meaning of life? Who are you? That's a question that I think we spend our entire lives trying to find the answer to. Who am I? That is the question. And if I were to answer that, I could begin like typically how people begin to define themselves. I'm a daughter. I was a wife. In fact, I don't think I told you this, but I have separated a few months ago. I was a wife. I am a mother of 3 dragons. I call them you remember Game of Thrones and the dragons, right? Khaleesi. So I'm a Khaleesi and the mother of 3 dragons. I'm someone who was a pre-med student, turned HR consultant, turned entrepreneur, turned now someone who's teaching others how to be entrepreneurs and cash in on their own talents and skills. I'm a Muslim, I'm a woman, I'm so many things, but I think at the core of it all, I am a creation of the divine creator. I think that's what basically how I come to now define myself.
Oh, that's beautiful, Rahila. What a different introduction. What a way to define yourself. That is superb. Rahila, as much as I've come to know you and as much I follow you, whether it's your post, whether it's Insta, whether it's LinkedIn, your programs, one thing which speaks volume about you is values. What are your values, Rahila?
That's such a good thing. To know your values is to know yourself and to know the direction that you're going. Because values, I believe, are like your internal compass, right? Like your GPS. They direct you, they tell you where to turn, whether to keep going straight or to make a decision to turn left or right. So what are my values? And I think from a very early age, one core value of mine has always been truth, has always been truth. And it didn't matter whether it was against me, myself, if speaking the truth or standing for the truth would hurt me or what I was doing, or would hurt someone I love or was close to. But truth has always been my guiding principle. And I can't do anything, like if something presents itself or that there's an opportunity to not speak the truth or stand for the truth, I just can't do that. And the thing that irritates me the most is also when someone is not truthful. So I know from a very early age that has something that has been a core value of mine. And I've always taught people that too, especially working in the corporate sector, being working in career advisory, writing a career column for over 10 years. I've always told people that if you stand with the truth, you have nothing to fear. You have nothing to fear. Even the biggest challenge in front of you will fear you because you are standing with truth. So whether it's in the corporate world, whether it's a difficult boss, annoying colleague, or someone trying to sabotage you or hurt you in some way, always stand for truth, even if it's against yourself. You must stand with truth.
Knowing truth, standing by it, it's easier said than done. So how do you do it? How do you separate the your feelings? Whenever we want to, truth is always there. We were just talking about it, and generally in our lives also as females, we are powerhouses of emotions and feelings, and that's how we have been created. How do you realize that the path you are on is right path, and what you are saying is the truth, especially in this materialistic world, in this world where everything is fake? How do you stick to truth? How do you define truth?
Yeah, true. That's because we're getting into perceptions then. Perception is reality. Your perception is your own truth. And to understand what is truth, basically it goes down again to the core human values, which is justice, right? Do no harm, whether to yourself or to others. And to basically stand for what's good and what's right. Even if it might hurt you, it might cause you some monetary damage, social damage. It might hurt you in some way, but in the end, I always feel that the return is much greater than any suffering you have to go through. But what is truth? I believe it's where you don't go against like universal principles, divine laws, and you're not hurting anybody, anything, beginning with yourself. And that is a real challenge, especially for women, because I know, because being a woman, we tend to sacrifice ourselves. We tend to kind of put ourselves as the secondary. We always put our families, whether it's as a daughter, your the needs and the desires of your parents first, whether it's as a spouse, as a wife, your husband's needs, desires first, as a mother, your children's. Even when we're working, if we're professional women, we're always trying to serve and cater to and please everyone around us. And we forget that it begins with us. We need to first focus on making sure we cause minimal harm, minimal damage to ourselves first. And I realized that kind of a little later, like while I was championing and standing up for other people, I wasn't doing that for myself. And I realized that is the biggest truth, is to recognize yourself, recognize your values, and stand up for yourself first and make yourself stronger so that you can then, how the saying goes in airlines, if there's an oxygen level goes down, the masks are released, please put it on yourself first before you help others, right? And I realized I wasn't doing that. I was putting on everyone else's oxygen mask, and I was myself suffocating. So I think the core of truth is to recognize that you are very valuable. You are a unique creation. A lot of miracles had to come together just the right time and place for you to even exist in this world. And by doing injustice to yourself, you're doing an injustice to everybody around you as well.
Was this truth? And was this your value system which helped you come out when you got married and when you moved to another continent? Was this the truth which helped you out?
Oh yeah, that's where does the story begin, huh? Yeah, so that's very interesting you bring that up, because I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and being of South Asian origin, Pakistani origin, very much our culture is very much family oriented, and as children we listen to our parents, right? What they say, we believe that whatever they say and do for us is in our best interest. And so same when I graduated from university, my parents made an arranged marriage for me. So I went from Los Angeles to Karachi, and that was the age of 21. Actually, I was like 21 years old, and I didn't know a lot of things about myself. Who am I? I was still just my father's daughter, and I really didn't know who is Rahila. And after getting married, I became, again, I didn't know who was Rahila. I became the wife of someone. Who am I really didn't know. So kind of, it's like a discovery process. I think life is a discovery. Life is a journey. It's a discovery process to answer that question, to discover your truth. And more I'm on this journey, I'm realizing that there is no right or wrong answer to what your values are, what your truth is. Everything that we go through in life is an experience that makes us better and better and better. So there's no good or bad experience. It's just an experience, right? It's just a way for you to develop and grow yourself, whether it's through relationships, whether it's through work, whether it's through maybe travel. Everything is an experience for us to better know ourselves, because the more we know ourselves, the more we know our creator. So that's the truth I've come to understand.
I asked you, I'm sorry, I asked you about this background question because I know, just like you, there are many ladies out there who are stuck and they feel that, even if they have not been, they have not been married, it was not an arranged marriage, it was their love marriage also. And they might not have moved from Los Angeles to Karachi, especially Sindh, but they feel stuck in their marriage. They feel that they have lost their navigation while trying to uphold their values, uphold the values of their family system, their parents. They are at lost. And I remember you do talk about your family, your struggle and how you discovered yourself. And that's why I keep asking you this question that, how can we find ourselves? How can we, fight those
Yeah, so I'm ready to have open. Yeah, Bisma, I don't hesitate to have a very open conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think we all go through experiences, not just to help ourselves, but through our experience, we can help others as well. So I don't hesitate to share my own experiences. Like when you're asking how I came from America to Pakistan. Now I'm back in America. I always say I'm back in my gaon, my village. I'm home again. That experience itself was a huge transition for me. Like I said, at the age of 21, just married, an arranged marriage. My husband is a total stranger. Very different backgrounds. Like my husband's never left Pakistan. He was born and raised in Pakistan. Very different educational backgrounds, very different family backgrounds. And so getting to know him and kind of adjusting to that was a big challenge. Then going from one culture to a totally different culture, that was a different challenge. The people, maybe, you know how they say the fish, if you ask a fish, how's the water? The fish is going to say, what water? What water? So because that's the culture you are in, you don't realize the influences your culture has on you, on your thinking, on your behavior. But when I went from the US and I went to Pakistan, it was a culture shock. I could see such a difference in the way people thought, in the way people behaved, in the way people communicated. Like growing up in the US, what you say is what you mean, you know, it's like there's no in between the lines. It's like whatever you're saying is what is the actual meaning of your intention. But when I went to Pakistan, I realized what you say is not exactly what they mean. You have to kind of read between the lines. What is the actual meaning? What's the actual message? Mindset challenge. In the West, I was raised with the concept that can-do attitude. If you can think it, you can do it, right? Nothing is out of your reach. Nothing is impossible. If you have a will, there will be a way. But when I went to Pakistan, people's mindset was very different back then. No, it's not possible. You have to have a lot of connections to do things around here. You have to have a lot of influence. You have to know people in high places. What they're saying is not what they mean. You have to look at other behavioral indicators and other things they might have said in the past and might say in the future and piece it together. It was very, very complicated. But at the core of it, what really made me appreciate this transition from the West to Pakistan was I finally felt like I was amongst my own people. Because growing up in the West, you're in a multicultural environment. You see people from all backgrounds. But when I went to Pakistan, it was like, oh my God, everyone is like me, you know? Everyone has the same kind of like belief systems and background, food, language, things like that as me. So I felt very like, oh, these are my people. That I really enjoyed that part of it. But there's so many things that happen in this experience. We can talk as we get deeper in the conversation.
Surely, surely. Yeah. So, when you were going through this cultural shock and you were very young, I understand that. When did you realize it's a cultural shock and it's not normal and it's okay to ask help from somebody, to discuss it with your parents or anybody else? When did you realize that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll tell you this, since the day I came to Pakistan when I got married, every single morning I would wake up and I would say, oh, my first thought, when am I going back? When am I going back? When am I going to go back? When am I going to go back? And that thought happened every single morning, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, not for 4 years, for 5 years. Every single morning I had that thought. So when we talk about culture shock, it's a real thing. And I remember for 5 years, it took me 5 years to kind of finally get adjusted and kind of accept that, okay, this is now my home. This is my reality. There is no going back, right? And that's when I started then to kind of adjust and trying to find my own place. Because when I came to Pakistan, I didn't know anybody. I had no friends, I had no network, no connections, even no family. All my relatives were either US or Canada. I had no one. So I literally felt alone, no one to turn to. And being away from my family, my parents, I always wanted to handle things, anything challenge myself. I didn't want to make my parents worry, give them an unnecessary burden, them being so far away from me. What could they do? What are they going to get on a flight and come help me? I mean, I realized whatever it is, Rahila, you have to do yourself. This is your challenge. These are the things that Allah has, your creator has put in front of you. Face it, let's take it on. Take it on.
Rahila, when you started to accept the reality and when you try to adjust yourself, did you the thought of it, that when I'm going to go back, and will be a time when I go back to USA, did you also forgot about that, or what?
I had to forget that. I had to kind of burn my bridges and say, okay, there is no Rahila, there is no back. Whatever it is this, and you got to make the best of it. So when I got married, I had just graduated. I had never worked a day in my life other than like one summer. I had worked at McDonald's when I was 16. You know, you want to earn your own pocket money. So I had worked like a couple of months at a McDonald's near my house. That was the only work experience I had. So I had nothing. So when I burned my bridges and I realized, okay, this is it. This is a reality, and you got to make the best of it. 7 years had gone by. So I had married, 7 years had passed. I had 3 children,
Sure,
and I had
sure.
not worked a day in my life. But situation had it that the financial crunch was on us. And my husband told me that I would have to put my children. My youngest daughter was just about like to start school. So he said, we're going to have to put all 3 kids into a government school. Okay, this is a, you know, in Pakistan, government school education is not like at a standard where anyone would say, oh, it's a great education, right? Urdu medium, not even English medium. He said, I can't afford to put the kids in private schools. That was like, oh my God. For me, when you're talking about values, my father instilled in me the value of education. That the best gift and the best, what he would say, adornment for a woman is her education. So this is something he drilled in my head since beginning. He would tell us, for education, if you say, I want to study this, I want to learn this, and it's, you know, whatever it's going to cost, he says, I will sell my blood even to help you to fulfill that, to fulfill your educational dream. So that's how much importance my father put on education. And that was in me as well, that, oh my God, anything happened, education is the number one thing I need to give my children, because it's that important. And so when my husband told me that we're going to have to take the kids out and put them into a government school, I was like, no, I can't let that happen. I said, no, but I said, I can work. I can get a job. That's the first time the idea came to me, that really, maybe you can do a job. And he said, oh, you know, he kind of laughed and he said, who's going to hire you? What can you do? And that was a good question, because I was a pre-med student all my life, and I didn't have any like skill set that I could like go get a job on, you know, being behavioral psychology, behavioral science, pre-med. I didn't have anything to fall on. I wasn't an MBA. I had no business degree, but I said, no, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get a job. And so that, when I burned my bridges, I faced my reality, and then you come to crossroads in your life, right? All of us, we come to crossroads where a decision needs to be made. Either you keep going along the road that you've been walking on, doing the things you've always been doing, experiencing things that you've always been experiencing, or you stop and you take a decision to either turn left or right. And that is a very scary decision, because it's pulling you out of your comfort zone. You don't know what's going to be on the other side, what's going to happen when you turn right. The road is dark, it's scary, there's scary sounds coming from there as well. But you realize that at this crossroad, you need to take that turn, you need to take that decision to go on that road that you've never traveled on before. So for me, that was it. 5 years, I struggled trying to figure out a way to go back, realized, no, let's burn that road. let's put the block on it. There's no turning back. There's only forward. And then a couple of years later, are you going to keep just doing what you're doing? You know, just being a housewife, being the mother, which is a good thing. Or are you going to take a risk, step out of your comfort zone and do something you've never done before in a country you don't know anyone? Even Bisma at that time, I couldn't speak Urdu very well. So when I spoke Urdu, people would laugh because I had a very heavy American accent. My words were wrong. Whenever I would say something, I would say the wrong word. People would laugh at me. So that was my crossroad to take that chance and look for a job.
You got your job. You got your first job. What was it?
I got my first job, which was as a freelance HR consultant for a company called Horizon. We're based in Kerala. And I never worked in HR. I had no idea even what HR is. Like, what is this? I had no idea of the corporate world. When my boss told me something like supply chain, marketing, I had no idea what those words even meant. What is supply chain? What is marketing? I had no idea. Personnel. In those days, it wasn't even HR. It was personnel management. Yeah. What's personnel? I don't know.
Yeah.
I had no clue any of these words, what they meant. No idea about business. I was pre-med. I had no idea at all. So that first job as a freelance HR consultant, I'm so grateful to the woman who took a chance on me. And I think as women, we need to give other women opportunities, because my boss, she took a chance on me. I had no work experience. I had nothing to do in HR, corporate world. So she said, what can you do? I said, I like to read, and I know a lot of stuff about things like communication, productivity, like time management, things like that. And I think I can teach other people things that I do. She said, okay, that's called corporate training. So can you give us a demo? I said, okay, I have no idea what corporate training is. I'm like, okay, what's corporate training? I said, okay. So I went back home and I said, okay, Rahila, if you were going to learn time management, so the topic she gave me was time management. I said, okay, if you were going to learn time management, how would you want to learn it? I said, okay. I basically did a little learning session for myself, that this is how I would want to learn it. I put that together. I went back to my future boss, and she got all the employees in the company to come into the conference room. And she said, okay, train us. And so I just did with them how I would do for myself if I was learning this topic. And they loved it. And I had no idea what is a activity, what is debriefing, what is facilitation. I had no clue. And in those days, Bisma, there was no PowerPoint even. Okay, there was just transparencies.
Oh, yes.
There were transparencies, right? And there was like whiteboards. There wasn't even flip charts. There was no concept of flip charts. There was a whiteboard. And they were transparent. And I didn't even know what a transparency, that came way later once I started to work. So I just had a whiteboard and I had paper and I did it and they loved it. And so they hired me as a freelance consultant. So project basis. So whatever projects would come and I would work on it. The contract was 60-40. The company would keep 60% and I would get 40%. And that's how I began my journey, which turned into over 20 years now working in this field of human resources.
Oh, amazing, Rahila. How did you land that first job? You said that people in our land, we used to say that, you can't do anything without contact. So how did you land that job?
That's a very good question. So how did I handle it? So here I am stressed, oh my God, my husband's saying we're going to have to take the kids out of school, worried, what am I going to do? How am I going to get a job? I need to make money, help the family. So my kids, you know how you have play groups with the mothers and the children. So I was at a play date with my kids and I was worried, and my mom friend asked me, "What's wrong, Rahila? Why are you so worried?" And I told her, this is my situation. I was always kind of weird in the group because I was the foreigner. I was the one who born and raised in the US, and now I'm living in Pakistan. In those days, there were not many foreigners, even in Pakistan, of Pakistani origin. There were not many people. And so I was the one with the American accent. I was the one, the foreigner friend that they had. And so I told them, this is the situation. And my friend said, oh, my husband hires consultants. And he just recently hired a company to do some training and some work in his organization. Maybe you could work with them. And so my friend happened to be the wife of the owner of National Foods. And I don't even know in those days, National Foods, like, what is it? Is it a big deal? She was just my friend. I said, okay, thank you so much. And so her husband, Abrar Bhai, he called his consultant and said, I have my wife's friend. She's from the US. I think she could be a good resource for you. Can you interview her? And so he kind of introduced me and set up that interview for me. That's how I started.
Did you have your CV at that time? Did you have your CV resume? No.
Okay. Nothing, no resume, nothing. So I actually went through an assessment center, something I would then do for other companies for a long time. So my boss tested me. She put me in a simulation. Since I didn't have work experience, I didn't have a CV, nothing. She literally just made me do what I would have to do on the job. And she put me through an assessment center, a simulation. And she evaluated my skills and capability through demonstration, which is an assessment center. Wow. So I guess I'm the first person in Pakistan to go through an assessment center back in 2000.
Wow. I think you later on, Rahila, when you reached, when you started consultancy, yourself, I think you later on thanked the experiences you have got. Maybe it was the first-hand experiences you have gotten, but you have gotten the best of it, isn't it? So.
Absolutely. And again, this is, I believe the universe, the creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, whatever you believe, the higher power, I believe whatever you get is what you need at the time to develop you to the next level. Because it's like, life is like school, right? Kindergarten, nursery, then first grade, second grade, third grade, then you go to high school, then you go to university, and you have to graduate. You have to keep growing and progressing in the school of life. And before you can grow to the next level, you have to pass an examination. And it's tough. It's a challenge. It's difficult. So every challenge, difficulty, crossroad in your life, it's your final, it's kind of like your exam to pass in order to get to the next grade level in life. And so that's how it was for me. I believe that every level, and even way before I got my first job, I had to graduate in terms of the type of person I am as well. So growing up in the US, I was like my father's princess. I was very protected, every need catered to. If I wanted something, I didn't want much, but if I wanted anything, all I had to do was say it and my dad would like, here, like, here and here more, like 10 times more. Um, and I was always just in my studies. My routine was home, university or high school, home, university, high school, home. And if it was a lucky day or a fun day, maybe in between, I would go to the library. Like that was my life. It was like, you know, very simple, very sheltered.
It paid off, right? It paid off.
Yeah, it paid, I guess it paid off, but very sheltered, very protected. I had no clue what the real world was like, because I was never exposed to the real world, to hardships, to even difficult people. I was very, very shy, Bisma, very, very shy, very reserved. Even if I was to talk, and this is in the US, if I was to talk to somebody, I couldn't look at them in the eye. I was like always like this, very shy. I couldn't look at people in the eye. And I like to be alone, very antisocial, never. And so this was me going to Pakistan, me going into an arranged marriage, me going into a joint family. And I think people took advantage of that, my personality. Very, very shy, very timid, never speaking up, just listening, taking it in. And I was pushed and pushed. So if you know all those dramas we see on TV in the subcontinent, Bowl dramas and all the family struggles and the, you know, the sabotaging and the tortures and the, oh my God. If I were to write down what I went through, it would be the best drama in the world. I mean, there's no drama as good as my real life was. Okay, it was so good.
Okay,
So
one
juicy.
question. It's one question I have for you. So, you know, the Saas-Boo drama, whichever you have seen and whichever success you have come to know, which character, which Bahu you were? Tell me that.
Yeah, I was the Bichari Mazloom, poor Bo, you know. And I wouldn't say anything, you know, and push me, and I was just, okay, quiet, take it. One day, I had my first son was born, so he was like maybe like 9 months, right? One day, I was like push, and I was so stressed out. I was so in tension. My son was crying, and he wouldn't stop crying. And I didn't know what to do. I was doing everything. I was feeding him. I changed, and he wouldn't stop crying. And I was so frustrated that I just hit him. This is like the first time I hit my kid. And I was shocked. I said, oh my God, Rahila, what did you just do? You know, this is a baby. It's not his fault. And I realized that was my wake-up call. I was like, oh my God, Rahila, what are you doing? You're taking the frustrations of everyone else out on this, you know, baby can't even defend itself. What are you? What have you become? And I was so ashamed of myself. And I made a promise that now I am not going to take it from anybody. If someone says something wrong to me or does something unjust to me, or you know, takes my rights, my personal rights, hukuk, I'm going to question them and I'm going to speak up. And I had never spoken up in my life. But I said, I'm going to do it because I need to do it for the sake of my child. Because if I don't speak up for myself, my child is going to learn that this is normal and that he should do it too. He should just take it. I said, no, I need to be the role model. I need to speak up. So this was way before I even started to work. I went through like a personal transformation from being a very shy, quiet person who was very antisocial to being someone who stood her ground and started to speak up politely, but would not now. I kind of drew the line in the sand that this is the boundary. Don't cross this boundary now. This is
because this was I was about to say that you don't look like a person who could, because the kind of personality you have pretty polite, but yes, you are firm. And I was wondering, how did you stood up? So I can understand how did you do that. This must be
It wasn't easy for me.
yeah, this must be very difficult. Because I remember when I started, holding my grounds, when I started, it's not with my in-laws or anybody else. It's just when I realized that, I have to come out of this. I have to break this frustration which is piling up inside me. I have to do that. It was very difficult. I didn't even have words to face the situation. So I can completely relate to what you are saying. Oh, wow, what an amazing journey, Rahila. I mean, there's so much to ask, there's so much to learn. I wish we did not have the barrier of time, but I will just quickly ask you questions. I'll just fire away, which I have to ask, because I think that this interview will not have be complete without it. Rahila, this is not about you, but this is journal observation about Pakistani society you have been in. Do you think the accent which you were blaming before, slightly blaming before, actually helped in Pakistani society also?
Oh, yes. I think it helped me a lot. And what also helped me was I didn't know what I didn't know. So since I didn't grow up in Pakistani society, I wasn't programmed the way Pakistani people are and women are. So I would just like go talk to anybody, even in the beginning in my professional work, I would, when I met people, I would like shake hands because that's what you do in America. I was like, and I didn't know that, oh, in Pakistan, you don't do that. Or that's, even in those days, it wasn't normal. It might be normal now, women shake hands. Yeah. But in those days, it was not normal. And I would like shake hands. And one day we went to like a little business dinner, we were invited to, so me and my husband. And so I was introducing my husband and I was shaking hands, and then we were going home. And I was just talking in the car, and I looked at my husband at the time. He's not my husband anymore, but his face was like all like swollen and red, and he's like not looking at me, looking straight ahead. And I said, "Are you okay?" I thought he was sick. "Are you okay? Is something wrong?" And he said, "If you want to work in Pakistan, then you cannot shake anybody's hands." And that was the first time I heard that. I did not know. So things I didn't know that I was kind of doing, and my accent is like, now my family says, "Rahila, you have a Pakistani accent." Like when I speak now, my brother tells me, my sister tells me, "Oh, you sound Pakistani." This is not how I sounded before. I sounded a very heavy American accent before, very, very heavy American accent. But over the years, it kind of.
It's good for us. We could relate to you more. Yeah.
The local accent that
I'm in. Yeah.
So it did help. It did help. It did help a lot. I think it was gave me a little opening doorway for opportunities.
Rahila, how did your ex-husband help you in easing you into science? You did give one example, but he also might have thought, these certain things are very much, for instance, shaking hands with men. These are something which are very commonplace to us, right? And he must have not known or understood and envisaged that he must have told you. But other than that, how he helped, how much he helped you, how much support he gave you, understanding where you're coming from, and even as a husband, how much?
He helped me. I think even in Pakistan, Pakistani men face a lot of challenges, especially with joint families. You have to cater to your parents, you have to cater to your new wife, your children, and kind of like in this, between tug of war all the time. So I think he did his best, the best that he could. And since it was a mutual benefit for us, me working, and when he saw, when I didn't tell you this, when I got my job, my first job, the first project I got as a freelance consultant was for Lever Brothers at that time, which is Unilever now. And the project was the biggest project in terms of financial amount that company, that my employer had ever gotten. It was a huge project. And even my 40% from that project was a lot of money at the time, that when I got that money, the first thing I did with that money is I bought a car. I bought a car. And when my husband saw that, oh my God, she's making good money, you know, so he was making like 10,000 rupees a month. After, yeah, he was making 20,000, 10,000 he would give his mom, 10,000 we would have, which is like nothing. Even at that time, it was like barely anything. And I brought in 4.5 lakh rupees from my first project.
Oh my God.
So he was like, oh my God, this is a lot of money. And so he then realized that he needed to support me to do my work so that we could bring in the money. So that was the intention. So he would help a lot. He would take care of the children. He would, you know, help me in my work, you know, so that I could do my work without having to do the household stuff and caretaking stuff. He would take that on so I could work. But it was a mutual benefit, because he could see that me working was bringing in good money. And so it made sense for him to help me in the typical woman duties that women have. So that's how he supported me. It was a very difficult journey, but every difficulty helped me grow. Even today, I am so thankful for people who mistreated me in my life, because if they didn't mistreat me, I would never have learned to speak up and stand up for myself. And I would never have started working, and I would never have gotten the exposure, the successes, the outcomes that I got, that I'm enjoying today. It's because of them that I grew as a person, and I was able to achieve so much more. So I'm so grateful.
Rahila, what are setbacks to you? What are setbacks, failures, and especially what is disappointment? And like you said, trust issues. So somebody, you know, is not honest to you. How do you deal that?
Yeah, that, you know, human relations, and my background is in psychology. The most difficult thing, physical objects, things, you know, doing yourself is easy. Handling other people is the most difficult thing in the world. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a spouse, whether you're a boss, okay, handling people is the most difficult thing in this world. So setbacks, failures, I don't think there is anything as a failure. I always see it as a challenge, as an opportunity to learn and grow. And if one approach, one way is not working, you need to try a different way. It's telling you, okay, don't do that and try a different way. But one of the most difficult things I had to learn was stop banging on a door that is not meant to open for you. Stop banging and trying every key, you know, open the lock to that door. If it's not meant to open for you, it's not going to open no matter what you do. It's time to try a different door. And I learned that the hard way. Like, I'm a very like determined person. So I keep trying a door. I keep trying, keep banging. And I had to learn to let go and try, okay, it's not going to open. You got to try another door now.
Yeah, because, okay, so that is one downside of, one downside of, being determined, because what I see with you is your determination. You keep on going and going and going. And this is something which I think I have always attributed to your success. I remember receiving your emails about ideas. Remember you had something about this idea, business idea, and there were emails about it. This was really back, right? Really way back.
Way back, yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw, there were times when I was worried about, LinkedIn, how to understand that. And there was nobody, and it was you, your your thing came up, and then it was about consulting. And now I understand when you say, Bisma, you don't need to know everything to be a consultant. You can just do it. Just understand. Now I understand what you mean by that. I really understand.
Very good.
I am definitely going to complete that course, which I started, which I left in between, because I thought Rahila is saying things I can understand. She has got through the journey, but she's a great entrepreneur. She's a psychologist, psychometric. She has worked with organizations and with ample experience. But this experience added to a lot of my understanding. I think people are out there who are going to understand that also.
Absolutely.
Rahila, did you ever felt
Absolutely.
caged? Did you ever felt caged? Did you ever felt that, this marriage or this decision or whatever decision in life, is the one which has stopped my progress, or, it has keys to make me progress, grow and develop?
I realize this, Bisma, no one can do anything to you without your permission. So if being caged is you have caged yourself. No one has caged you. We teach other people how to treat us. And then when they treat us the way we taught them, we get upset. Like, oh, why are you doing that? But we taught it to them. Say this to me, I won't do anything. I'll just listen. Do this to me, oh, I'll ignore it and act like it never happened. We teach people to treat us the way they treat us. So we cage ourselves. And the biggest cage is here. It's here. And here, what keeps us caged is fear. The opposite of love, what's the opposite of love?
Hate. Is it hate? No.
It's fear.
Love is fear.
Yeah, the opposite of, there's only two emotions, love and fear.
Okay.
Only two emotions. Fear keeps us caged, keeps us scared. Love releases us. And so I realized that there's certain things in life that are written for you, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work, how hard you try. Things that are preordained. One is death. You're going to die. You don't know when, but it's inevitable. You will die. Okay? And no matter who you are, when the time comes, it's going to find you. Whether you're hiding in a mountain or under the ocean, it's going to find you, right?
Right.
And the second thing, guaranteed in life, guaranteed. You know what it is? Second thing. One is death. Second is
success.
Your rizq.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I never realized that. I didn't realize. And rizq isn't just what we mean. It's not just your money. It's everything you need to sustain you. It's already written. It's already preordained. Everything you need, your food, your shelter, the oxygen you breathe, the support, the relationships around you, everything you need to sustain you is already been written for you. It's already there. So why stress? Why stress? Enjoy the journey. Life is a journey. Enjoy it. So every challenge, there's no difficulty. It's a challenge. Enjoy it. Savor it, because after every storm, the sun always comes out, and you appreciate it even more once you've enjoyed the storm. Like, oh, if you've hidden from the storm and ignored the storm, you won't appreciate it when the sun comes out again.
Oh, beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful, Rahila. Beautiful, Rahila. I know we are getting overboard. Just spare a few more minutes with me, Rahila. When when we feel overwhelmed, when we speak to people from different cultures, I'll just give you my example, nobody else to give, especially people with different languages, especially being in Pakistan, being in the subcontinent, we get influenced by people, and we do get overwhelmed when we do talk to people with accents, especially Britishers or Americans. And I'm pretty sure you must have felt overwhelmed also when you came to Pakistan and you had this, have to deal with the communication style we have. But it's with your accent and with your education and with your background, somewhere or the other, you must have, people must have, if you not have, but you must have felt, okay, ये तो थोड़ा सा empowered है हमसे, थोड़ा सा बेहतर background से है, हम जब जाते हैं लोगों से बात करते हैं थोड़ा बहुत complex होता है. So how do you want us to, what do you have to say about that?
Oh God, this is again something that I've learned from life experience, and especially through my work. Whatever you have is your strength. Whether it's anything that makes you different, anything that makes you stand out, it's your strength. It's not your disadvantage. So maybe you have an accent, or maybe you dress differently, or maybe you speak differently. Maybe you have a different type of experience, background. It doesn't matter. Don't hide it. Embrace it, because when you embrace it, it becomes your strength. And when the first thing is, you have to accept yourself. Apne aap ko to kabul karo pehle. The problem is not of other people. I realize the problem is we don't accept ourselves. I'm the biggest culprit in this. I realized that I was very critical of other people. I would like, oh, look at how that person's talking. Look at how that person's dressing. Look at what and I realized that why am I so critical of other people is because I was so critical of myself first. I think, oh, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. It's not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. I was so harsh on myself. I was so critical of myself that it just spilled over to other people. When I realized that, I said, oh my God, what am I doing? Then I said, okay, no, you are enough. The creator of, Rabbul Alameen, creator of all the universes, doesn't make any mistake, cannot make any mistake. And you are a perfect creation in just the way you are. So accept it, don't criticize it, don't judge it, don't belittle it. And so when I started to accept myself, I started to accept other people. When I started to see the good in myself and be grateful for myself, I started to see the good and be grateful for other people. Before I couldn't do that. And I think as women, like the example you're giving, when we feel like, oh, we're being discriminated against or we're being judged, it's not that, it didn't start with that person. It started with us. We are judging ourselves. We are discriminating ourselves. We are undervaluing ourselves. And when we start to do the opposite, the world aligns. The world starts to give back to you exactly what you are giving yourself.
So motivating, Rahila. Such a beautiful way to explain that. I think that is very empowering. And this brings me to this question. What is empowerment to you? If I ask you if you could describe me in 3 words, what is it?
Gosh, it's such a power. We have these corporate definitions of empowerment, and empowerment for me, from my experience, I believe empowerment is freedom from fear. When you don't have any fear, that is true empowerment, because you feel you can do anything.
And how would you describe women empowerment?
Yeah, it's removing all those fears that have been programmed into us from the start, very early age, right? The fear of talking to people, fear of going out, fear of looking bad on the family, bringing disrespect to the family, the fear of appearing as too bold or too strong, too bossy. There's so many fears. And so when we push aside those fears and we replace fear with its opposite, which is love. And it begins with self-love, is to really love yourself, which is a journey. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy because the world will make you, again, they put the fear, they make you feel bad if you love yourself and appreciate yourself. They say, oh, you're egotistic. Oh, you're selfish. You're selfish by thinking about your needs, your own self. You're selfish. But you can't give other people what you don't have yourself. You can't give care to others if you don't care for yourself. You can't give support to others if you've never supported yourself. Support other people's dreams, other people's journeys, other people's development if you've never supported your own dreams, your own development, your own journey yourself. You cannot give, you know how they say, if your cup is empty and you try to pour from it, nothing's going to come out. Pour into other people's cups, there's nothing in it to pour out. So first, fill your own cup, fill your own cup. And a lot of people I've met in my life have helped me to kind of realize these things. It's a journey, Bisma. No one is born knowing these things. And we will keep on this journey. We will keep growing. We will keep developing and understanding ourselves, inshallah, till the last breath that we take. It is a journey. It never ends.
So true. This is so true what you just said. Rahila, how can we strengthen women of our times? How can we, help them?
I believe it starts as mothers. I'm the mother of 2 boys. And by being a strong woman, I'm teaching them, how a woman is supposed to be and how they need to treat women. And when I'm not strong, my boys, what are you doing? That's not, you don't do that. They make me strong. They push me to be strong again because they've seen both sides. They've seen me not being strong, they've seen me being strong, and they'd rather that I be the stronger version of Rahila. In the workplace, in organizations, professionally, whenever I've worked and when I work, I forget that I'm a woman. I don't go into a professional setting, a context, top of mind that, oh, I am a woman, I need to do this, I need to talk like that. I'm just me. I am a professional. I have a skill set, I have capabilities, I have competencies that I can share and use to add value. And the person in front of me is neither a man nor a woman. They are a human being. And we need to work together to achieve a specific outcome. So early in my career, I've stood up in front of audience of 50 middle-aged men, and I was maybe like 30 years old, and they're like 50 plus, teaching them how to be a leader.
I can understand. I can understand.
All men.
They must be thinking, Kal ki aayi ladkiyan pe sikhayenge.
Yeah, exactly. Who are you to? But I never thought that they were men and I'm a woman. They are this. I have something of value to share with you as a professional. So the biggest mistake I think women make is they go into interactions. I am a woman. No, you are a professional. Act like one. I mean, don't act like a woman, act like a professional. And you know what? People will treat you like a professional. Okay. But if you go in thinking, oh, I'm a woman, then guess what? They're going to treat you like a woman, and whatever the meaning of woman is in their mind, how their mothers raised them and programmed them, that's how they're going to treat you. Their society programmed them. That's how they're going to treat you. So you don't go in as that. You go in as a professional And these are the boundaries as a professional that we operate in. I hope that.
Rahila, is there anything you can, promise or you can facilitate from your platform? Maybe some kind of an internship to the listeners who approach you. It's up to you if you want to, if you are okay, or if you're not okay, it's okay. So just I thought to ask you.
Isma, I'm here for you for anything. And listeners, if they need my support, I feel like my experiences in life have given me a perspective that can benefit a lot of people. I remember when I used to do early days of training, at the end of the training, all the young women would come to me, gather around me, and ask me for advice on personal issues. So we're learning about customer service. Like I'm in a multinational bank doing customer service training. And at the end of the training, all the women would come to me and they would say, oh, Rahila, what should I do? Oh, Rahila, this is, and I would be giving them personal advice, personal guidance, because we need someone who we trust, who we admire, who we believe has a perspective that can let us look at the world in a different way. And I think Allah has given me that opportunity to develop that type of view, experiences that help me to understand things from different angles, from various different angles. And so if I can support you, the community in any way, professionally, because worked in corporate, entrepreneur, still growing my business. Now I'm working in the US and I've started businesses here. I'm working with Americans now, so non-Pakistanis. And I find it very fascinating, and they find me fascinating. And I find them fascinating. I think it's very interesting. So if I can support in any way, I'm here, and just reach out to me, and whatever is in my capability, capacity, I will always share that to help anyone.
Thank you so much. Somebody asked me that if you could ask Rahila if she could give us some kind of a research, and it's free of cost. Like they just want to work and they want to understand how they can work. So some kind of if anybody approaches you through us, so I thought to ask you, will you be facilitating them? Some research,
whatever I can do, I will do.
Okay.
And even like over here, I just I went to Jummah prayers last Friday, first time in the US, because in Pakistan, women don't typically go to the mosque. Yeah, they pray at home. I went to the mosque, and in the khutbah, they said at the end, oh, we have an opening for a volunteer position in our family resource center as a manager, to manage and set up the whole resource center. I said, okay, let me just, go. They said, go online and, just sign up. So I went online and I signed up. I said, okay, let me see. And so they called me back. I'm going for the interview with the sheikh. He's going to interview me. And so I'm going to be helping, inshallah, if this is meant to be, helping them to set up the family resource center. And then I'm also going to be discussing with them to set up a sisterhood business circle, a business circle for sisters who want to start their own businesses, and especially online, because that's what I've been doing for the last now 5-6 years. I kind of knew that business was going to go online. Before COVID, I had a feeling something's, there's a transformation happening in the world. So I'm really good at it now. I can easily set up businesses online. I understand social media marketing. I understand websites. I understand all of this stuff. And I said, I want to start a sisters business circle where I help other Muslimah to empower them with their own livelihood. So if I can do something similar, help anybody, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Great. Thank you so much, Rahila. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure having you. I didn't know how the time flies. I just loved hearing what you said, and it is really inspiring and motivating.
It's my honor. Thank you, Bisma. It's such a pleasure for me, and I hope anything I said, I hope it gives value and it helps someone to look at their lives a little differently and to understand that life is a school of life, right? And it's a process. It's a progression. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep graduating and try to achieve the PhD level in this life, inshallah.
Yeah, Allah. Take care, Rahila. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much for watching the video. For more such videos, stay connected with us on our social media pages. Like, share, and subscribe to Red International.